So students, we were discussing the chapter earlier, constitutional design, and we have discussed the Constituent Assembly. We have seen how they worked and provided us the Constitution of India. So now we have to see the Mahatma Gandhi's contribution to the Constitution of India, that in order to understand the philosophy of the Indian Constitution, we need to see the views, we need to understand the views of some of our great leaders and the preamble also. So let's see first of all Mahatma Gandhi's contribution to the Constitution of India, or what he felt regarding the Constitution, that what kind of Constitution of India should be there, that what kind of rights and what kind of equality he wants through the Constitution of India. So although Gandhiji was not a member of Constituent Assembly, but there were many members who followed his vision, his ideology, his Gandhian ideology of non-violence. Okay, so many of the people, they followed his vision, his ideology. So according to the magazine Young India in 1931, he wanted to release India from all the thraldom, that is slavery, and patronage, that is the dominance of the foreign power. So he wanted that India should be free from any kind of slavery and the dominance or the domination of foreign power, that is the foreign rule. So he has made very clear cut in his Young India magazine 1931 that India should be free from all kind of slavery and British rule. He emphasized on political equality. So he laid stress on that everybody should have political equality in the form of universal adult franchise. All the people, irrespective of their gender, caste, color, creed, everyone should be given this right to vote. Then he thought that India is a country where the people of all communities would live in the perfect harmony. So this was his dream, because when he came from South Africa in 1915, he has seen the disunity between the different social groups. The conflict was there between the different social groups whenever he used to launch the movement. So due to the different aspiration of the social group, the movement turned out to be violent, and then he used to call up the movements. So that's why he has seen a lot of disunity, and we suffered the partition also, the painful and bloody partition on the religious line because of the disunity between the religious groups. So he wanted that India should be that country where all the people of different communities, diverse we are, but we should live in perfect harmony. We should be example in front of people of the world for unity in diversity. Then he wanted India that where there could not be any room for untouchability. Okay, so Gandhiji said that Swaraj will not come for 100 years if untouchability will not be removed. He never called the lower caste people as Dalit. He used to call them Harijans, and he has done many efforts to uplift them also. He persuaded the upper caste people to give up this sin, this crime, and to change their mind and hearts for this kind of people. And he started the temple satyagraha also, so that and satyagraha for the entry of the Dalits into the public areas and providing them access to tanks and wells and villages. So this we have seen that lot of efforts he has done in order to uplift this section of the society. And he wanted India where should not be any untouchability, no practice of untouchability should be there. So because this is important, integration of these people, the Dalits, the low caste people, into the mainstream society is required for upliftment of the full society. And he wanted that women should also enjoy the same rights. Okay, so women also, as he has given call during the civil disobedience movement, so many women on his call, they came out of their homes and they consider that this is also serving the nation, is also their one of the duties. So he talked about the equality of rights between men and women. So this was all the contribution or views of the Gandhiji regarding the constitution. And these things they should provide: equality, same rights, political equality, and there should not be any discrimination. Perfect harmony should be there. So this was his vision. So now we have to discuss, students, the preamble of the Indian Constitution we have to discuss. So the question can be asked, explain the features of the preamble, or explain the terms which are mentioned in the preamble. So India is a sovereign, socialist, secular, democratic republic. Explain, justify. So in this way the question can be asked. So let's first of all understand the sovereign. Preamble means the introduction to the constitution. So it gives us the philosophy, the underlying fundamental principles of our constitution. So let's discuss these values which are incorporated in our constitution. So sovereign. Sovereign means people have a supreme right to make decisions on internal and external matters of India. So it means decision making. So no one can dictate their terms to the government of India. We are free to take our internal and external decisions. So it means India is a sovereign country, and the people, they have a supreme right to make decisions on internal and external matters. So our representatives, we elect our representatives and they take the policy decision on our behalf. So no outside forces can dictate any terms to the government of India. So we are completely free, without any pressure, without any authority. We are completely free to take all the decisions in the interest of the country. Then the next is socialist. So the socialist means it comes from the socialism, where all means of production are controlled by the society as a whole, and they are against the concept of private property. So wealth is generated socially. So the wealth is generated socially and should be shared equally by the society. So this is the basic ideology of the socialism or any socialist country, that they are against the private property, and wealth is generated by all the workers or all the people who are working, and it should be shared equally by the society. There should not be any gap between rich and poor people. So equally the output should also be divided. So government should be there to regulate the ownership of land, okay, and industry to reduce the socio-economic inequalities. So if everything will be regulated by the government, so the gap between rich and poor will also reduce, and it will help in reducing the social and economic inequalities which are prevalent in the society because of the concept of uneven distribution of resources and private property. Then the next is secular. So in our case, the citizens, they have a complete freedom. So the citizens, they have a complete freedom, whichever religion they can practice. So the government is not having any issue, no official religion as such the government of India is having, and government treats all the religious beliefs and practices with equal respect. So whichever religion we are practicing, government has no issue with it, and they cannot interfere in our religious matters also. If we are practicing our religion and in complete harmony, we are observing it, all the beliefs we are practicing in the complete harmony, then government cannot interfere in our religious practices. Republic. The next is republic. So the head of the state is an elected person. So what do you mean by republic? Where the head of the state is an elected person. Constitution is there, fundamental rights are given there, duties, everything is mentioned in the constitution, and the head is not any hereditary position. It is not like a monarch, okay, that now the king is there, then his son will come like this. It's not a hereditary position, but the head of the state is an elected person. So we were discussing the preamble, and the next now term is liberty. So there are no unreasonable restrictions on the citizens in what they think. So there should not be any restrictions on what is the thinking of the citizens, what is going on in their mind, and how they wish to express their thoughts, and the way they wish to follow up their thoughts in action. So now the people, they are free to express themselves, okay, so they can speak whatever they want to criticize the government, their policies, they can do, so they are free in this, the liberty is there, okay, so whatever they want to express, they can express their thoughts, whatever their thoughts are, their beliefs, whatever their faith is there, so they can express it freely. So they are free, they are liberal in this, the liberty is provided to the citizens, they can express their thoughts, and whatever actions they follow, if any policy they want to criticize of the government, and if they want to do protest, agitation against that policy decision of the government, they are free to do, but within the limits only, that the disturbance should not be there, okay, within the peaceful manner. In the peaceful manner, if they want to do protest, it is their right, they can do protest, but it should not disturb the harmony of the nation. Then is equality. All are equal before law. So the supreme law of any country, the constitution. So all are equal in front of law, in the eyes of the law. No one is above the constitution, whether the person is prime minister, president, or a poor farmer. and the traditional social inequalities have to be ended. So whatever social inequalities are there, okay, the difference in the society, the rich and the poor, down-to-earth section of the society, upper caste, so it need to be ended, and the government should ensure equal opportunity for all. So this is the responsibility of the government to provide equal opportunity to all the sections of the society, and there should not be any discrimination on the basis of religion, caste, color or creed. So the equality should be provided to all, even to the down-to-earth section of the society, to uplift them. If any reservation has to be provided, if any policy, constitutional provision has to be made, so this is the duty of the government. They have to do this. Then fraternity, brotherhood. It means we have to promote brotherhood in our society. All of us, we have to behave like we all are the members of the same family, as the family is close-knit unit. So love and affection and bonding is there within the family member. So as a nation as a whole, we should promote this brotherhood, and no one should have no one should treat a fellow citizen as inferior. So no right is given to anyone to insult anybody. Okay, so no one can treat any of the fellow citizens as inferior. So if not superior, at least the equality should be there, and we should treat all the citizens as equal. Then is justice. The last is justice. So no discrimination on the ground of caste, religion, gender. Okay, on this basis, no discrimination should be there in the country, and government have to work for the welfare of the poor people, because mixed economy we are. So the poor people, the onus lies on the government for their welfare. They have to provide them all the food, shelter, like PDS is there, then Pradhan Mantri, Awas Yojana. So many schemes are there which are free education. So many schemes are there through which the government provides benefits to the poor people, so as to reduce the social inequalities in the society. So that is all with the preamble. So this we have discussed the preamble of the Indian Constitution. So the last topic of the chapter, constitutional design, we have to discuss institutional design, and within institutional design we will talk about constitutional amendment. So constitution is not merely a statement of values and philosophy. So a constitution is mainly about embodying these values into the institutional arrangements, and much of the document called Constitution of India is about these arrangement only. So it is very detailed and long document, so it needs to be amended quite regularly in order to keep it updated. So here comes the role of the constitutional amendments. So the constitution, how to update it regularly? Through constitutional amendments. So the constitutional amendment is any change in the constitution made by the supreme legislative body, that is our parliament, is known as constitutional amendments. So you know, the society is not static, it keep on changing, a dynamic society we have. So needs, aspiration, desires of the people also keep on changing with time. So how we have to change? If any change we have to brought in constitution, it is done through amendments, the constitutional amendments, which can be done by the parliament only, the Sansad in our case. So what is the importance of this constitutional amendments? That the constitution can be changed according to the needs and aspiration of the society, of the people. So if any changes there, from time to time the changes keep on coming in the society, the trends keep on changing in the society. So how that changes can be incorporated in the constitution? Through constitutional amendments. And if any major shortcomings are there, that can also be removed by adding the constitutional amendments. Like we did for Panchayati Raj institutions, Article 40, it was incorporated when we drafted our constitution. After that, it was made mandatory by 73rd and 74th amendments of Panchayati Raj institution. So if any shortcoming is there, it can also be removed by the constitutional amendments. The next is now significance. What is the significance of constitutional amendment? So as our constitution, the India's constitution, is long and detailed constitution, so we need to keep it amended regularly. Amendments have to be made regularly, so that it can be updated. So that's why this is the importance of constitutional amendments. And the makers of our constitution did not see that constitution any religious document, it is any holy book, it is a static or unalterable law which cannot be changed. No, it is not any holy book. Okay, we can't change it. It is a living document, and it has to be in accordance with the people's desires and changes in the society. So that's why we need to keep it updated through constitutional amendments. So that is all with your chapter. Thank you.